All right. So whether it's Hollywood Boulevard or a set on like the lot where we're at right now, what was it like for each of you to be able to film at such iconic locations for this film?
It was really helpful to actually be in the place that you said you were in. That's quite rare. So it just was, when I did the scene where I pull up in the golf cart with Mia actually in front of the Bates Motel, and I'm talking about this is the Bates Motel, the fact that that's actually in front of me is that, you know, what are the odds in Hollywood that that's actually in front of me? I mean, slim to none. So it was very helpful.
I was really just, my first night on set, you know, Ty had shut down all of, was it Hollywood or Sunset? It's late, I'm sorry. All of Hollywood Boulevard, and, you know, completely redressed it to look like this insane 80s strip, and the cars and the people. And I remember stepping onto set and being like, oh my God. And I think I remember saying to you, I was like, this is like when they shut down Times Square in Vanilla Sky. Like, how did you do this? Like, you know, getting away with stopping all of these, you know, like Los Angeles has a tight grip on that road, and they were like, this is so important, yes, do it. And I just remember being like, oh my God, whatever pressure I was feeling, I'm now feeling like a million times more, because I'm obviously a part of something that is just so massively important. But it just made me feel like grateful and excited to be a part of something so important, like with such magnitude as it felt in that moment.
I had a weird experience where I was actually driving just down Hollywood Boulevard, and I actually started clocking things that looked different, and I realized that it was because you guys were starting to dress the set, like dress Hollywood Boulevard. And I was like, I drive down here all the time. Like, why is this now from... And I realized that it was for the movie. And as an actress playing an actress within the movie, talking to an actress, I started to feel like really excited to be existing in this foreign time period and like world, because I'm in the 80s, but I'm also like a Puritan. So I was playing this interesting like time warp situation. But for me, I hadn't been on set yet. So I was already getting into this 80s feel when I got to then go on the back lot. So it was really cool to still get to experience Hollywood in the 80s through that. I feel like things. No, they're alive. I'm like, are we haunted now? No, I just had it. There's coyotes.
It's the witching hour or something.
No, I just had a terrible thought also that
don't look at the house.
A24 was going to like end this
like
by pranking us, and I was like, please don't, because I'm in this whole skirt and like
you are a real scream queen.
To go home. Like I don't know, but like I just had a vision of you guys scaring us, and well, it's working.
We've surprised people with the last two, so you never know.
Don't you dare put that woman in that house.
I'm just kidding.
Mia shows up.
So going into the film, how much did each of you know about what Hollywood was like in the 80s? I know you've talked a little bit about like the set dressing and everything like that. Is there anything specific you did to better understand the time period?
I knew what America was like, you know? It's like it's like this, you know, hyper capitalism, tits and ass, power woman working, double parent working household, like, you know, just insanity of patriotism and capitalism and cocaine, like a lot of cocaine and big shoulders. It was like everything was like this, like, I don't know, this like impressionist data, hard-edged, angular version of what like American life was before that in the 70s, and I just imagined that it was balls to the wall the whole time, and so I just thought about that. I was like, everything is like 100%.
So accurate,
I don't know. Yeah.
Ty, can you talk about how, you know, you conceived of the scene that takes place where we're filming right now?
Yeah, well, there's a scene in X in which the character of RJ is talking about, him and Lorraine are arguing about Psycho and how they feel about that. And so I kind of like planted a seed for that, not knowing I was going to make 3 movies. But when it came time to make a 3rd movie and set it in Los Angeles and to set it on a backlot, I just thought like, oh, wouldn't it be something to like complete this like loop where they actually end up at the actual Psycho house. And, you know, historically it's like accurate time-wise. So it just became like, I'll write this into the script because this will be great. And what a great thing for this movie in particular and for the fans of the other movie. And I never stopped to think like, what if they say no? Because I had no backup. So the movie really hinged on Elizabeth. I mean, there's a whole speech about how this is important and you don't take this for granted. And if we had not been able to shoot here, it would have messed up the whole thing. And so thankfully, you know, we got permission to do it, which was great. And then it became so surreal to be here and to shoot it and to spend a lot of time here and actually be able to go inside and touch it and to photograph it and not be making Psycho is really weird. And that's kind of a once in a lifetime sort of career thing. And so for me, it was, I just never seen something quite like that before, you know, and that's what makes it fun for me.
Mm-hmm. And I think Elizabeth and Halsey and Lily all kind of touched on this when they were answering the question earlier about what it was like to film at iconic locations. But I think another thing that's really interesting about all 3 of your films and what people comment on is about how a lot of the films feel of the period and not about the period. I mean, a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that it feels like you shot on film. How do you pull that off so effortlessly?
I mean, you know, people always think like, oh, how do you make something look a certain way or how does it look 80s? And the answer is just it's what you put in front of the camera. You know, I think once you start really putting people in period authentic clothes and you create a version of 1985 that feels authentic and feels like a lived-in version of 1985 rather than like a spoof of it or rather than a commercial about it. Because, you know, if you're living in 1985 and you visit your grandparents' house, their furniture is from 1960. They don't have, like, furniture from 1985. And so I think that's a big part of it is really trying to build out a world that feels authentic because it's not just advertising to you at all times. And there's times when you want to have pop culture of the day or you want to have products of the day that can put you in a time and place and serve a purpose. But, you know, not everybody is like a walking advertisement. And a lot of times it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to put a bunch of fun stuff from a different era in a movie. But what I like about period pieces mostly is that you have to create it. So if you go to Hollywood Boulevard and make this movie in 1985, do you want it to look that way? It doesn't look that way. So you have to have a hand in everything. Every piece of clothing, every prop, every decision that's being made about what's going to go in front of that camera has to be a collaboration of the crew. And that's just really creative, and that's fun, and that's what makes it worth doing for me.
Great. And I got this a little bit earlier from Elizabeth, so I wanted to ask both of you ladies, just going back to your getting involved with the movie, were you familiar with the previous films when you received the script? And what about Ty and the worlds of X and Pearl made you want to get involved?
I was a huge fan of X and Pearl, so also when I heard that Ty wanted to chat about a 3rd installment, I was drastically confused because the thing that I thought at the time that I was most known for was Emily in Paris, which is so anti the worlds that this exists in. Maybe not anti, but it's definitely a character that I wouldn't imagine Ty thinking, oh, that girl could play this character. And I so appreciated the fact that you were willing to take a risk and put me in a role that is so unexpected, and it's something that I want so much more of, and to work with someone like Ty, who is such a visionist of like what those specific worlds are, and being able to give all of us the opportunity to play in those worlds and play characters that are opposite to roles than we've played before and get those chances to play with each other was such a treat, and I just so appreciated that opportunity. And I really admire and respect Mia for what she's brought to the 2 movies as well, and that the combo of Ty and Mia, I was like, anything that I can do to service the 3rd installment in whatever capacity that is and have a great time doing it would be like a dream. And it was a no-brainer. Like, I was game from the get-go.
Yeah, I was also a huge fan. And I also, you know, I think that being musician, and I think, you know, transitioning in a way, like even just partially or fully at times, and then back, you know, into the world of film and television is like it's really daunting, and there's only a few people who have really done it in that order, in a really exceptional way. So it's a huge ask. But, you know, it was funny because one of the people that I really looked up to in that manner was Cuddy, you know, and I remember watching him on How to Make It in America, like, long time ago, watching him act and being like, oh, that's really cool. Like, you can kind of do both. And so, you know, getting to watch him in a film that I had already knew was just me bait. It was bait. The first time someone told me about it, they were like, it's a horror film. It's super sexy, super violent, super this, you know, can't give me the premise. I was like, this is, you know, this is me bait. And I was hooked right away. And then obviously was even more kind of drawn into it when I saw Cuddy in X, and was like, that's where that kind of like little flicker showed up in my mind, where I was like, oh, you know, like, yeah, maybe, who knows, like maybe I could too. And then, you know, 2 years later, the conversation came back around, and I auditioned and hoped for the best, and just so grateful, and really grateful that Ty gave me a chance to be comedic, because I think not a lot of people would. And I think just given my experience as a musician and my comfortability expressing myself in a sexual way, I think that most people probably would have taken advantage of that opportunity and just put me in a more traditionally performative and like sexual role. And instead, you know, I'm in a jacket and I'm being funny. And that was just awesome. It was really unexpected for the part, and I just really enjoyed getting to do that.
You were also a really big part of me being excited to do this, because Ty told me one of the first things was that you were probably going to be doing it. Oh. Yeah, and I was like, Halsey? I was like, sick, that's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I love that. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules to do
Yeah, of course.
this for us. We're very grateful. You guys are all
one
wrapped
died.
now. Yeah.
Woo, we did it.
We did. I froze. I can't move.